Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome into Wildcast Studios for the first of two off-season episodes of the Wildcat Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, finishers, I am your host in my golf gear, as it is now off-season, and I'm joined by your favorite co-hoster in his Hawaiian shirt, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. How are you, buddy?
Pretty cold for Hawaiian shirts, but...
Yeah.
You know, it's the tradition that we have adopted.
Yeah.
Is that you've even got your summer
hat,
golf
Well,
hat? P?
I take it off. P for Puma.
Okay, yes.
Big Puma guy. I like the Puma.
Okay.
It's expensive, so I don't buy a lot of it. But when it's on sale, I jump on top of it. It's big Puma guy. So
Me, I like Puma too, especially after eating Mexican food. It makes me Puma pants.
Hey-o. Welcome back to the dad jokes. It was we had a nice week last week, and then quite chilly this morning. It's not like I thought summer was here.
It was a complete 180 from last week. Geez, we were wearing shorts and t-shirts last week, and here we are back with sweatpants and jackets.
Yeah, we go from hoodies and shorts to golf shirts, Hawaiian shirts, and pajama pants or sweatpants. That's the way of Canada in the spring.
That is Canada. And if you look the next 14 days, it's not going to be anything over 15. So you're like, come on.
Oh, really?
Bring me my 20s.
Yep. Yeah, I want to get back on the golf course, which they've started opening now, which is apropos for the season ending. So how's Barry doing?
So Barry is
locked in quite a battle.
Bit of
North
a
Bay.
hole.
Are they?
So they're down. They've got a game 6. Obviously, by the time this show comes out, they could be out of the playoffs. But they got a game 6 in North Bay. Is it North?
Yeah, North Bay.
No, it'll be in Barrie tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you said who they're playing.
Yeah, so they're up. They're down 3-2 as we speak, and so game 6 is tonight in Barrie, and I think it's in Barrie.
Yeah, it's in Barrie.
Yeah, so
and if necessary, game 7 tomorrow or yesterday.
Yeah, so we're a bit of a hole. I don't like the scenario of maybe still being around for round 3, but Barrie had I think a 3-1 lead in game 4, which would have given them a 3-1 series lead, but they blew that. Yeah. Lost an OT, so that one tied the series, and then they lost game 5 in North Bay, so they're in a hole. They could
be Hawaiian shirts for them.
Could be Hawaiian shirts for them, and Brant Clark being Brant Clark, probably the best player on the ice, even though he hasn't really had that great of a second round, and getting into it with the fans in North Bay. And,
I saw that.
He's kind of one of those players that reminds you of a number 66 that we just finished seeing in our series. But if you're going to talk the talk, you better back it up, and those two guys surely know how to back it up.
Absolutely. And looks like Ottawa's in a bit of a hole against Peterborough, but this isn't an OHL podcast. You can go listen to the Niagara Ice Dogs. North Bay's got one. Who else has got one? Sarnia, they don't have one. There's a few. North Bay, the Ice Dogs, Hamilton, which is now Brantford. Those are the three that you can go catch up on your OHL. Doing good work over there. They're all official, so they get to do a lot of interviews with players. And I know Niagara just had the weirdest part of the CHL, which we've talked about being, trade deadline should be synced and all this. They just did their draft.
Yeah.
Midway through round 2. I don't know how easy that is for teams like Barrie, North Bay, Ottawa, to be doing your draft in the middle of a playoff run.
Good way of selling your organization to the players, to the teams that are still playing.
Yeah.
Right? You draft a player, and the next day they're on a bus or on a plane to your arena, and you're watching a key game in round 2. I mean, it's got its advantages, but I still like our after the year is over in-person drafts over anything virtual.
Yes. No, 100%. It's not in person over there, so ours are way better. Are you caught up on Big Brother, or should we just skip ahead?
Well, it's I'm trying to think what's kind of. I can't remember what her name is that won the head of household, but she nominated Renee. Sorry, Renee was the head of household. She nominated Ty, and again, can't think of the other name. Ty won the power veto, so Ty's going to take himself off the block. And
wasn't it the girl from PEI that was on the block?
She was HOH last week.
Oh, okay, last week.
And I believe the plan is to put Kuzi as the replacement nominee, with hopefully Kuzi going home this week. So that's kind of your 10-second Big Brother Canada update. I'm so far behind in that episode, in that series right now. It's I see the shows show up on my PVR, and I just don't even. I'm like, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives was on last night. Let's watch that. And then I just completely forgot about Big Brother Canada.
Yeah. I've been there. We started watching the Americans on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. We finally caught up on, like, we're in the middle of watching Succession that just came back. So, Tournament of Champions with Guy Fieri. So, yeah, you start once you get into the summer months, it's tough to stay on your shows that you're usually watching because you just get distracted by other shows.
Yeah, that's what Absolutely. I mean. There's so much on right now that I can't even pay attention to Big Brother Canada, and that's I sit down and watch an episode, but I'm like, that show recorded last night, I'll watch that, like The Rookie or 911 or something like that, and you just totally forget about the reason why you sat down on your couch.
Yep, pretty much. All right, we'd get into Stanley Cup playoffs, but it's going to be behind by the time you hear this. So, go sports.
Go sports.
Don't forget, as always, you can follow us on social media: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast, and of course, like and subscribe on the YouTube, which you've been doing, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. We got something coming down the pipe tonight on the old YouTube as it is. Let's get to some news and notes from around the queue.
News and notes from around the queue.
We'll get through some of this stuff quickly because just before we came on to record, a bombshell dropped on the league. So the award winners, there's been some awards coming out. Where are you? It's the Selke Memorial Trophy for the most sportsmanlike and effective. They have to put that in there because you can't just be nice. You got to also put the puck in the net. Attilio Biasca, which we'll talk about that timing in a few minutes here. Best defensive forward was Nathan Gauthier from Quebec, and then the top professional prospect, which Etienne Morin was in. He was in tough company against Matthew Cadafor and the eventual winner, Ethan Gauthier. I don't really think there's much of a surprise that it was Ethan Gauthier.
Nope. It always goes to the highest ranked prospect in the queue based on NHL Central Scouting. So this one was pretty obvious. It was probably the most obvious one that they've given away so far.
Yep. And then there's an article from Kevin Dubé.
Old Dubé.
That I got to thank God for Google Translate on Twitter. Speaking of Google Translate, so I did get a message from Johnny Rocket last week.
Okay, yep.
So the news for Mario in Val-d'Or, their long-standing goal coach, one of the originals, retired and is now a ambassador of the Val-d'Or Fourier.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he sent me a voice message. What are you doing? How do you mess that up? And then he's like, I'm just kidding. I'm surprised you guys even mentioned it. And I sent back, I couldn't translate the actual thing, so I had no idea what it was. So Kevin Dubé, when you translate it, had an article coming out that controversial goals in the playoffs. The QMJHL wants to add cameras to its amphitheaters. Referee directing Richard Trottier also gives his version of the facts, allowing disallowed goals, causing a stir in Moncton and Rouyn-Noranda. So obviously the one in Moncton we're all familiar with. Mm-hmm. The one in Rouyn-Noranda against Gatineau, apparently one of their guys hit the stick of LaPena, which caused him not to be able to close his 5-hole with his stick, causing Rouyn-Noranda to score, making it 7-1 Gatineau instead of 7-0. But that's not a shot at Rouyn-Noranda. Gatineau is just a house right now. Mm-hmm. I think this is awesome. I mean, the way we live with technology in the world and the amount of reviews we have and the amount Moncton spent on the playoffs asking for things to be reviewed and suspensions and put that money towards cameras for the league. Moncton basically pays for this thing off the playoff series against Baie-Comeau. But, I mean, there's so many goals that you look at, and if there was just a camera in the net, that might save a lot of issues. The overhead cameras, I mean, once this came out, a lot of the Baie-Comeau guys were bringing out stuff from the goal, and there was one site where it was the overhead camera view. To me, I think I wouldn't have shared that if I was them. It looks more damning that he actually did push the goaltender in, but you know, we can go. Neither side is going to argue their side and see the point from. We're not going to see Baie-Comeau's point. They're not going to see ours, and everybody's mad. But I do think that this is something the league actually needs to look at, especially starting with cameras in the net, like the NHL, that just give you that view. Because they had that in the net for the Steinman goal, they might have seen that the puck was moving on its way towards going into the net when Blantier, I think it was. I can't remember who scored or who didn't score. Pushed the goalie into the net.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm surprised they don't already have cameras in the nets. It's part of that, the technology that a lot of the other leagues are already going to. You know, the NHL's got it. I'm pretty sure the AHL has it as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming to all the 18 rinks, around the queue, because it just makes the game, it just makes decisions that much easier when you have, video proof. And you're right. I think it's something that should be invested in the entire Canadian Hockey League. Make it, if the Q's going to bring it in, you can't just have it here.
No.
You've got to have it in the OHL and the dub as well. So, I'm all for it, because the angle I know it's 2 weeks ago, right? And they're still talking about it, and I understand. I mean, if that
which we would do,
if it went against us, if it would have counted, we'd be probably still talking about it. The angle of the above the net one, I mean, to me, it almost appears as if Baie-Comeau got robbed.
Oh, really?
That's what I think.
Oh, okay, I think that one's more on our side, that you can see Steinman at one spot and you can see him move backwards in another spot. So to me, it looks like
he's probably moving backwards because, Buddy
brings the stick.
I don't think the
guy hit the. I don't think he hit the pad, but I think when his stick went through the legs, that's what pushed Steinman back.
Which is, I mean, and that's kind of where I see it. Like, if he's going for a loose puck, and the force of his stick, that's going for the loose puck pushes the goalie back. I mean, it's like it's almost not like when you're on a breakaway, right? Is it does a penalty get called if the defender gets puck first? No.
Yeah.
Right. In this case, it's pretty clear that the player got puck first. He didn't jam. He wasn't trying to spear the goalie and push him into the net. He got puck first, which resulted in the puck going in the net. So that angle, I think it's. I can understand why they feel they got robbed,
right?
And I can say that I think Moncton got lucky, for that reason, because he's not intentionally pushing the goalie in the net. He's going for a loose puck.
Yeah, and like we both said, I mean, you put the cameras in the net, that dispels all of this, because being an Oilers fan and the wife as a Leafs fan, we've watched that whole Leaf series, and there was a goal that was wrapped right around, and I didn't think the puck was in the net, and they zoomed in from the net cam, and you could see the puck had completely crossed the line.
Yeah.
Late in the period, Samsonov went to cover it, and the puck was rolling under him the whole time. You could see the puck was moving the whole time towards the net without a Tampa Bay player touching it. So it's one of those things. If we're gonna get things right, the people making the decisions need to have all the angles, and it's the same thing in the NHL, where now the controversial hits are automatically, they're becoming 5-minute majors, so that they can go right to the review to see if it was a penalty, if it was a 2-minute penalty or a 5-minute penalty. And I don't think everything we see in the NHL will eventually filter down to the QMJHL. All that really doesn't matter as we get into the major news coming out of Rimouski is Serge Beausoleil is now out as general manager and coach of the Rimouski Oceanic. He's been there for 12 years. 765 regular season games, 426 and 339 in the regular season, 61 and 53 in the playoffs, including a President's Cup. in 2015, and I believe they lost the Memorial Cup to London. I believe that was that stacked London team that went like 74-2 or some stupid shit like that. Something stupid like that. I didn't think this move would like. There's just some teams you think they like the Dale Hunters in London and Brian Kilray in Ottawa, like the guys that are just institutions in their cities, and I completely thought Surge would be an institution in that city. That was some shocking news that came out today or Monday.
Yeah, big news. That was unexpected, and because if you think Rimouski, I mean, he's been there forever.
Yeah.
So he's clearly someone that knows the league and knows the players and he knows what a player's value is, because he's made some trades that have really improved their organization over the years. I don't think it's going to take long for him to get back on his feet. However, if he's been in the league for so long, he might be someone that wants to take a year off or something like that before getting back into the swing of things. Yeah. But if the right opportunity comes up, I'm sure he'll be right back in it. But yeah, that was a big surprise. And there is some talks. I've heard some things that there's some young players in Rimouski that don't exactly enjoy playing for him, and but that's rumors. You don't know if that's true or not. So if it's true, maybe that's a reason why he was let go. The team wants someone that's actually the players are going to enjoy playing for, if going forward. But no, that was huge. That was unexpected for a Monday at 5:00. Yeah, right. The news always likes to drop at the end of the business day, and hoping the media doesn't pick up on it. But when you got Mr. Mike and Mickey and Stefan, they're always on the ball, and
yeah, they don't mess around.
They don't. They love getting their hits out before the teams do.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was Stefan Leroux.
Yep.
That said maybe he follows in the footsteps of Patrick Waugh if he chooses to leave Quebec. I mean, the success he's had, maybe he hasn't had playoff success in the past few years. I mean, they've had some big upsets in round one. Mm-hmm. But that you're right. That's the thing of hockey now is this younger generation. They don't really want the hard coaching anymore. They want it's all player development and I don't want to say coddling, but it's not the hard 90s. We're going to skate if we lose and that kind of coaching and. I just wonder if there's a team that kind of moves on from their coach this year because I mean we're 2 months out before the draft. Mm-hmm. You'd think you'd have a whole plan with the coaching staff you have, but I think we could see him in Quebec. I don't think that's a name we can put on the list if a certain job in a certain city that we do a certain podcast for opens up, right?
I wouldn't want him, I don't think. I think we need something that's more... Someone's got more of a fresher mindset. Yeah. The one thing I hate is when coaches or GMs get fired and then they're immediately hired by another team in a week. Yeah. I can't stand that. And it happens so much around this league. Mario Durocher gets around more than... I'm not going to say
family
it.
Show.
But,
family show.
Family show. That's exactly why I didn't say it, but that guy gets around.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I can't stand about some of these teams is they're so gung-ho on just hiring someone who was just recently fired. Yeah. And to me, that's not how you do business. If you're fired, you've got to earn your position back. Yeah. There should be no one who's fired should have a job with another team just like that. There's a reason why you were fired.
Yeah, a lot of lateral moves. And good friend of the show, Andrew Barrington, Talon Blog, always likes to ask me coaching questions, whether it's Q, NHL, WHL, OHL. Like, I'm like, do you like guys getting fired? Like, what is this?
He does have an obsession with coaches being fired.
If the Oilers lose, will Woodcroft be fired? No. They got out goalied.
Yeah.
Like, but... where was I? Oh, he's always asking me these big names for certain teams, and including this one when we were losing 9-10, right? When everyone was calling for it. And I said, I'm at the point, I don't care the name. I just want somebody that comes in with a fresh new idea, and gets the best out of the 23 men on their roster. I don't care if it's Fabian Joseph or Danny Flynn or Tim Smith from Midget AAA and Bucktouche. I don't care what his name is. As long as he gets the team winning, that's what we want. That's put the players in the right position to succeed. Because, I mean, you look at Halifax, Sylvain Favreau. How many people questioned that move? After year one, now he's got him going. They got a good team of players, but he's got them working towards something. Alex Tanguay had, after all these years, the hockey department needed a new direction for the future. That's
Which
pretty
makes
much
sense.
Yeah. And Danny Dupont is the interim general manager in Rimouski as of right now. So that's, I mean, there's never a good time for a coach to be fired, but they at least have a month and so to be ready for the draft. Like, it's not, the draft lottery's coming up tonight, and you're thinking, oh, the lottery's coming up, that means the draft is no, the lottery's tonight. We got time until the draft. So it gives Rimouski a time to get used to it. And that's another interesting wrinkle in that, is that's the team Moncton's competing with to possibly host the Memorial Cup. So what does that do for the bid if they're going through a whole new coaching regime?
100%. And Danny Dupont's going to get, he's going to be well known in a couple days here, because, Rimouski's got that fifth spot in the draft, right? So he's going to be the one literally probably representing the team at the lottery, and guaranteed he didn't see that happening in 2 days ago. So he's
at least I hope
he's the good thing with that is, if he's coming from an assistant GM role, he's been in the rinks, he's been scouting the players, he's got a good idea of what the team needs to, who the team needs to take to get them where they need to be. So it's always good to hire kind of within.
Yep, and it's feet in the fire, man. You want the job? Here you go.
Yep.
You got a month to figure this out, and a team that's on the rise. It'll be interesting to see what they do GM wise as well as coach wise. So the semifinal matches are now set. Your league final can still come true because you had Sherbrooke and Quebec. I'm going to at least get one of the teams correct, as I had Gatineau and Quebec, and that is one of the semifinals. But you got Sherbrooke and Halifax in one, Gatineau and Quebec in the other. Finally, the teams get the top four. Everyone's waiting for these. And, Stéphane Leroux, first time since 2010, the best four teams in the season meet in the quarterfinals. Since the trade period, Gatineau's 35-3. They have had 2 defeats since January 7th. Sherbrooke is 35-3-1, 14 straight wins. Halifax 35-5-2, and Quebec is 32-6-2 with 16 straight wins. Like this is
great for the league.
Yeah.
This is really good for the league.
Yeah.
No upsets. The top four teams, the four teams that deserve to be in the semifinals are there. It's like a dream scenario.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really good hockey.
The only thing I wish is it was Halifax, Quebec, Sherbrooke, Gatineau, so we could have an East and a West and the best two. But this won't be over in 4 and/or 5. So, no. What are your thoughts?
So let's kick it off with Sherbrooke and Halifax. In my opinion, Halifax was good, but against Moncton, but they didn't really, be like Chennai Prairie. They didn't really impress me much. Yeah. I expected more out of Halifax. It was either Moncton was a lot better than they were in the regular season against Halifax, or Halifax just took it down a notch in that series. And
I feel it was more B.
Yeah,
I feel it was more they took it down a notch because they knew Sherbrooke was coming up, and they knew they could beat Moncton in 4-5, maybe 6 if they put. So put the boots to us when they needed to, but kind of take their foot off the gas as well.
Yeah, but so it's to me it's I don't know, if Halifax plays like they did against Moncton, I'm going with Sherbrooke, and I think Sherbrooke in 6. I think they can probably clinch this series in a game that would be on their home ice, Right, so I think they can easily. I think they can get this series in 6 games because, I'm assuming Halifax was playing their best against Moncton, and if that's the case, Sherbrooke should be able to take Halifax out. I'm not going to say easily here, because it's not going to be easy, but I give Sherbrooke the edge in goal. I give Sherbrooke the edge on D, and I give Sherbrooke the edge in probably forwards. I would call them even, but the third and fourth line depth, I give the edge to Sherbrooke.
Yep.
So that's give me the Phoenix in 6 games.
That's exactly where I'm at. Offensively, these teams can kind of cancel each other out until you get to the depth. And Halifax's depth was pretty good because we kept Dume off the score sheet. I mean, Lawrence and LaRue kind of had their way with us, but you didn't see the best Doucette. Vidicek had a goal. Catafor finally scored. Like, Melanson, Gill, Gauthier-Roy. I mean, that's kind of a wash for me forward-wise. But in the playoffs, it's about depth on defense and it's about goaltending. And Moncton had a tougher time against Baie-Comeau's defense than they did against Halifax's. Getting Why Not back was big, but Halifax seemed to sometimes have trouble with Moncton speed, and they'll have trouble with Sherbrooke speed. And I think in order for Halifax to get this series, I think Rousseau has to play like he did in Game 4. Yeah. The start of Game 3 and Game 4, where Moncton had chance after chance after chance, and he just, as Favreau does, that's his job. He has to do it.
Yeah.
If he can stand on his head, I think that gives this team a big edge. But I think it's Sherbrooke in 6. I just think their defense is better than Halifax's, and so I'm going to give Sherbrooke in 6. When I go to Gatineau and Quebec, it's I'm not going to go with who I didn't pick at the start of the year, and that was Gatineau. And I said, if they get LaPena, they will get to the final. And I didn't think Kidney was going to be the major addition on that. Like, LaPena has been good, but Kidney's kind of driven that thing. I do a lot of trusting in goaltenders. Who do I trust in net? And Rousseau's been good for Quebec, but it's just... I like Gatineau. They're on such a run right now, and they got that feeling like this is their year. And they got a team like Moncton where they're all drafted. I think who's the defenseman that's hurt? Is it Warren that's out?
Warren, yeah.
If it was Warren, I'd go 5. If he was playing, I just think they're that much better. But I've got Gatineau winning on home ice in 6 as well.
We're all on the same page for everything. I know I kick.
You're looking to go 14-14,
I am looking to go 14 for 14.
And I'm 13-14. The only one I missed on was Drummondville.
Yeah, and then
I mean, a lot of people are probably 13-14.
Yeah,
but
no, I haven't seen anyone with a perfect record so far. So I've got to give myself a pat on the back, and that's why these predictions are pretty important to me. I'm gonna have to agree with you, Adam. Like, it's these this series is kind of a toss up, but if I think Gatineau can go in there and win a game and maybe possibly steal both games. The first 2 games, and they might even be able to finish this off in 5. But I'll be safe and maybe go. Maybe I'm gonna go 6 here for Gatineau. It's. I think Quebec is good, but Gatineau's just really good. Yeah. They seem to be. Yeah, I'd take LaPena over Rousseau. Is it Rousseau that they have?
Yep.
Quebec.
Yep.
William Rousseau. Yeah. I take LaPena over Rousseau any day, and I just think their decor is slightly better than Quebec, and I think their forward group is much better than Quebec's. And so, I'll take Gatineau and Sherbrooke for the Gilles Courteau Trophy.
Which is just a slight bit different than your prediction on the season.
Yeah, it's just the way the semifinals fell, right? But I like Quebec. They can easily win this series, but they got work to do. And I think Gatineau's got that team to, get those 13,000 fans out of the first two games.
Yeah. Special teams wise, coming into the playoffs right now, if you're Halifax, you better play discipline. Sherbrooke's power play is 54% right now in the playoffs.
Wow.
They are 9 of 14 at home and 3 of 8 on the road.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous,
yeah.
man. That's
Gatineau and Gatineau's 30%. Quebec is 30%. Both these teams can kill penalties. Like Gatineau's 93-92 for Quebec. Penalty killing 86 and 90. So penalty killing so if there's a chance that Halifax can get this, it's going to be on special teams where they stay disciplined, and unlike Moncton, they take advantage of their opportunities on the power play. But of the two series, which one do you think has the chance to go 7? Because for me, it's Sherbrooke and Halifax. I just feel like this is a home series where each team is going to win at home, and it could go 7.
I'm going to go the other one.
The other one?
I'll go with Sherbrooke and Gatineau. Not Sherbrooke and Gatineau, excuse me. Quebec and Gatineau.
Yeah.
I think that one's probably your 7-game series. Patrick was that X factor behind the bench. Referees are
Scared,
intimidated by him, and he can turn a series around just by blowing a gasket. Because if he blows a gasket, the referees don't want to be they don't want Patrick Waugh pissed off at you.
No.
And that's what I mean. He's kind of there's no X factor on the ice in this series. I think he's an X factor off the ice. I think he's someone that can turn the series into Quebec's favor if he gets into one of those moods.
Now I say that Sherbrooke and Halifax will be a homer series, but what I mean is they'll win each at home till they get to Game 6, and then I think Sherbrooke will break through and break the hearts of Halifax fans at home in the third round. And either way, a lot of the fans that kind of see this that aren't in our market would like Halifax and Gatineau in a final, just based off their 2 regular season games. And I think if that's a final, that would be – there isn't a final of these 4 teams that will not be an extended series final.
The season, I mean, whoever comes out of that semifinal, I think the final easily is 7. Yeah. I think it's easily a 7-game series, and which is never good in the final because the way it works out is the Memorial Cup is the first game is Quebec against Kamloops. So it's
when he says Quebec, he means Quebec League,
the Quebec League,
not Quebec Rempart.
Correct. Yeah, the Quebec
May
champion.
26th.
Yeah. So you're kind of in that you never want to see the Quebec final go 7 games, just because it's a quick turnaround to get to Kamloops. So you kind of you don't want a 7-game series because you're obviously cheering for the Q when you get to the Memorial Cup, but Kamloops is a pretty stacked team, and so you're in tough in Game 1, that's for sure. So
just based off how it's been going, where it's Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday kind of thing. The final would end if it goes 7, roughly either the 22nd or the 23rd.
That's what I mean.
And they got to play 4 days later on the other side of the country.
Yep, that's what I mean. It's a tough turnaround.
Yeah.
But I can easily see the final going 7 games, and that's a tough. That the flight, everything, the media day the day before. I mean, you're literally winning a championship, going out to the bar that night, celebrating, then you're on a plane the next day. Because
the Blazers, for all intents and purposes, could be done by the third round. Like they got to play Seattle.
Yeah, it's a tough series.
A lot of people thought might be a final, but so they could be sitting and resting for a good month, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
which if you're gonna host, going out in the first round, not always the best. That's a long time. Get to the second or third round, get that nice break, and obviously Kamloops doesn't want that. They want to upset Seattle after making all those trades. And,
they want to go in the front door. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it was that quick of a turnaround. I thought they'd have at least a week. So, and the Q prospects in the final NHL draft rankings, Etienne Morin was the 19th overall ranking going into this year's draft, which we'll take that. That's
North American skater, so you got to take the international skaters into consideration. But
I still
based
don't
on
see
that,
him in
he's
the
maybe
first round. He's probably a
late
second.
first, early second. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the weekly rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
Weekly Rewind presented by Local Sports Pub. Looking for a great place to have some wings, beers, and watch the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, but unfortunately no more QMJHL playoffs. With your friends, head to 1715 Main Street where the Salty Sea Dog used to be. And it's not just sports. It's comedy shows, trivia shows, karaoke. They got spin classes on their deck, which just watching the Instagram, I was like, I'm tired. I don't need to. If I'm going to ride a bike, I'm going to ride it somewhere, not just sitting in the same spot. But Mondays, they got it's happy hour all day. Molson products are $5.50 a pint as well. Tuesday, they have wing night, a pound of wings and fries for $15.95. What a difference a week makes, bro. Like, we were 1-1 coming home, and like we said on the YouTube after the Game 1 victory, there was a lot of people sleeping on the Wildcats. They got this. They blah, 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 yeah. Love everyone's enthusiasm. Never going to shut you down. But we did temper that with the Mooseheads can flip a switch and win 4 in a row.
And they did.
And that's exactly what they did. Lost game 3, 4-2. Game 4, 3-0. And game 5, 7-3. We're not going to beat a dead horse on the series. But like I said at the intro, this is part 1 of the off-season show. So we're going to focus on the playoffs here. And then next week we're going to get into a season recap, grade the players, look ahead to the future, and go from there. So just looking back on this series quickly, their best chance to push this thing was game 3. They got down 3-0. They had chance after chance after chance in that first period. Rousseau stood tall, keeping it 0-0. And then the villain, Zach LaRue, draws a penalty, scores the power play goal in under a minute, a theme of this series and basically the year. Taking the momentum from Moncton.
Yeah. They
gave it a valiant effort, losing 4-2 on an empty netter. Game 4, they just had nothing in the tank. In Game 5, you knew.
The tank was non-existent.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No, you're right. I will say I will compliment the team because there's some listeners out there who like to say that I complain all the time and that I'm a Habs fan. But I was impressed. I was very proud of the effort this team gave in all these games against Halifax. You can say that game 2 was a blowout. Well, it was a blowout, but I think we got into a little bit of penalty trouble that didn't help that cause. This team, when you saw how they competed against Halifax in the regular season, they went and they said, we don't want to get embarrassed. And yes, this series ended in 5 games, but no way did they get embarrassed against Halifax. They held their own. They are in, probably 4 of the 5 games.
Even in that blowout, it's a 2-1 hockey game.
Yeah, it was exactly.
And they get 2 penalties and back-to-back power play goals within a minute, and that was it.
Yeah, I can confidently say that they were in 4.5 of the 5 games, right? I mean, you've got to think 2-1, and then game 2 just kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
That was the half game, and
I'd say 4 of the 5 in the half in that one,
and then game
the half,
5. Yeah,
the half of 5 where they gave up those 2 goals in under a minute.
Trying to be nice here.
Yeah.
But,
my bad. You're trying to be nice.
Yeah,
my bad.
but like we said, last week, they accomplished more than what they did in 2019, right? And that's what you want. You got that 1 win against Halifax, and it was game 1 where some people are like, the quick turnaround. If there's a game that get blown out, it's going to be game 1. Well, no, it's I saw it a different way, and they came out with a win. And I think injuries in this series had a big part of it. If we have Loshing, if we have Tybell, if we have Lounsbury, I think this is a different series. When I say different, I don't think Moncton wins a series. I'm saying we probably would have gotten a second win. And that was just injuries a part of the game. You can't really use it as a negative.
No.
But you just hope that you hope Loshing's good because it was clearly a concussion, and I don't think it's his first. So it's those are tough. He's a young goal scorer. We need him.
Yeah.
We need him next year. We need him the year after that. Same thing for Lounsbury. You know, we need him next year. We need him the year after that. You know, with Ty Ball, you know, he's already signed in Switzerland for next year. So his season came to an unfortunate end, if you want to put it that way.
That was one of the. That injury sucked big time because he's not here next year. So
and then we got Plandowski. I mean, that was a big loss for Game 5, and injuries suck. It's just part of the game, and I think if those 4 guys were, more specifically the 3 forwards, if those 3 forwards were in the lineup every game, I think we probably win a second game against Halifax, and that's just the way it goes. When you have to rely on your depth and you're a young team like Moncton, things get a little dry.
Yeah, and Loshing, Lounsbury, Tybell, that's 2 centermen and a winger. That just gives
it's one line.
Yeah, that gives Dan so many more options, especially down the middle. And I think, yes, Loshing's scoring on the power play was big miss, but Preston Lounsbury was my rookie of the year, and I think we felt his loss so much in not only the first series but in the second series because he can take faceoffs, and he was good at taking faceoffs this year. You lose Tybell and Preston Lounsbury. Now you're taxing LaBelle, Baudouin, Trenholm to take a lot of faceoffs and in high situations. And, they were in almost every game. And, the biggest part of the series was Moncton the power play went cold at the worst possible time. And even with the depleted lineup, I mean, Moncton had 5 power plays in that was game 5, so they weren't going to be in that one. That was when they got penalty trouble. But they went 1 of 21, I think, or 1 of 20 in the series. Like, even with a depleted lineup, you score a power play goal here, you score a power play goal there. Maybe it's a different scenario, but Halifax was just too big, too strong. Like, they were
experienced.
Yeah, they were experienced, and the LaRue factor. I mean, he really, truly has not come back to haunt us in any of the games in the regular season. But in this series, he was relishing this, and
he was a difference.
He was a difference maker.
Yeah,
I mean, he takes out our best player, and then comes back the next night because game misconducts don't accumulate in the playoffs. He was playing. He gets a hat trick. They win game 3, and this team, for all the ups and downs in this series, I didn't go in with the expectation that we were going to win this series. I didn't even go into the expectation we were going to win a lot of hockey games. But I was excited to see it because every time they had a chance, you thought, okay, maybe. And even in the game 5 where, you kind of knew Halifax was going to close it out at home, they still were tied 2-2 before the final, in the first period, going into the second. Yeah, they were still tied 2-2 after 20 minutes. And, that for a team that had 4 guys out, that's huge.
We got to talk about the 4th line.
Yeah.
That was
going to lead into my next question.
Yeah. Cole Bishop and Riley Sampson and McPhee, Gabe Smith. For 3 young guys, I mean, Riley Sampson's 16, Gabe Smith is 16, Cole Bishop 17. Every time those guys were on the ice, it's like they were effective. Especially dump and chase and winning board battles. Like they were an effective line. And we said Gabe Smith scored in game 5. Made it kind of interesting.
Yeah.
In the later stages, and I think
final goal of the year.
Yeah, final goal of the year for one of the youngest guys in the team, right? Yeah. So that's the way she goes. And that 4th line they were super effective, and I was really impressed.
So that you took right from the question. I was going to say, we're not going to beat the horse on this series, but you look back at the 12 games for the Wildcats in the playoffs, and what did we learn about the club? Yeah. What questions were answered for the core moving forward? And you said the 4th line, Jacob Steinman was kept us in every single game. He was facing, I think of the 12 games, there was only 4 games where he didn't face over or under 30 shots. Save of the year candidate, maybe a couple of years. But the decor of this team, is good. Like, Ballantyne coming back, Marcil's going to come back. Fortier Gendron, it's too bad he missed a lot of the Baie-Comeau series, but when he came back, again, you don't talk about him, which is just fine. He is going to be like, you talked a lot about the future of Grenier and Morin. I think the future top line is Morin and Fortier Gendron. I think he's going to be just that steady minute logging type defenseman, and even Ryan Hackett, the moment wasn't too big for him. I really liked the decor. There were some moments where some guys made mistakes, and that happens in the playoffs. It's a lot faster hockey, especially for these 16-year-olds. But you just look at it they basically played 2 types of series where they were crashed and banged and hit at every opportunity they had with Baie-Comeau. And then Halifax was just a more experienced speed team. And for this decor, that experience was invaluable. Marcil is going to be a difference maker as our number 3D next year. Like I got Morin, Fortier Gendron is 1-2, and then I got Marcil and whoever they put with him as the third.
You're not
obviously
wrong.
In very early predictions, but based off this,
you're not wrong. And I think we'll probably get into next year's lineup maybe next week, but I think it's going to be tough to have 2 19-year-old defensemen in Ballantyne and Marcil on the team. Now, will that mean, are they going to experiment with Ballantyne as a forward? Because we saw it worked.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something I think we look into.
This team and that forward defenseman, they do like that.
They love the versatility. They love the versatile players.
Aspero, Darcy, Pavan. Now Ballantyne.
It seems to happen every year. So we'll see. I mean, that's if Ballantyne moves up to a forward, 4th line spot, fine by me. And that's something we'll dig into next week.
It's I think who's your MVP of the playoffs
For Moncton?
In these 12 games?
Well, I mean,
I guess not MVP because obviously Moran, LaBelle, but
I got Steinman.
Steinman, okay.
Well, it's I don't think we win 5 games in the playoffs without him. There's Moran obviously put up monster points. I mean, he's kind of the obvious one, but if you were to ask me who would be the MVP in the playoffs, I'd probably say a Loshing or a Morin or LaBelle. But to me, it's like Steinman saved the day literally on a few occasions, and we don't get past Baie-Comeau without Jacob Steinman.
No,
so it's for me, it's him.
I'm glad. And we didn't talk about this coming into it. I'm just throwing these questions off the hop, but you're gonna hear about Jacob Steinman here in a minute again. So if it's not for him, we're doing the year recap show this week instead of a playoff recap. I will say from game 1 to now, number 9, or as I like to call him, Bambi, the way he was skating in the first couple games, and you could tell he was just, the speed wasn't there and he was getting used to it. And in the most endearing way, I called him Bambi. That guy needs to spend a couple weeks with the Plandowskis. And you could see his skating get better, but he spends a couple weeks with the Plandowskis. He hits the gym. I don't want to put the pressure on, but he's the Zach LaRue type of, he's big. He can get in your way. At 16, he was not afraid to get in anyone's face to stick up for teammates. You're not going to see him fight, but if he can work on the skating, which I'm sure he already knows, and so stick with the Plandowskis, he's going to be a force. And I kept coming away from the playoffs. I'm not going to give him an MVP, but I kept coming away every playoff game impressed with him digging into the zone, and it goes to the 4th line you were talking about.
No fishing this summer, Gabe. You're on the ice every day.
Or if you're going to fish, just dive into the water and swim to go get them with your teeth. Make it a workout. But yeah, he kept impressing me from the start of the year to now. So it sucks that we're out. This is exactly where we kind of expected to be and go out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people expected a 4-0 out.
Mm-hmm.
I just one time would like to have a full lineup going into the playoffs where everyone is healthy, everyone is ready to go.
Yeah, be nice.
I don't know what the difference would have been. We didn't want Cape Breton. We didn't want Cape Breton. Would it have been a less injury-prone playoff series against Cape Breton? I don't know, but it just feels like, based off what Halifax did and how the war we went through, I mean, we were keeping the QMJHL fans interested by going 7 games, but I just wonder, you look at hindsight and the butterfly effect, if we play Cape Breton, is it maybe 5 games and we have everybody ready and both teams are now waiting? But that's not the draw. You get who you get, and I think that first game against Baie-Comeau with a lot of these players coming back will be exciting, but if I had to grade the team in the playoffs, I'd probably give them a B-.
Yeah, I'll go B. Just for the sake of
great. Now I'm going to be the -1.
No. Was it an A+ performance? No, because we would have, we'd still be playing. But I think they did a lot more than what I was expecting. It would be nice to not have a 7-game series against Baie-Comeau, but that's the way she goes, as they say on the Trailer Park Boys. And just for me, just one win against Halifax, I was quite content with that.
Yep, and it was the first one, and that's what, I mean, it probably angered them.
Yeah.
We won the first one. Good. We pissed them off.
That's all it takes.
But it'll be, like I said, we'll come back next week. We'll have a season recap of everyone from coaching staff to Jonathan Henry is the equipment guy. You're not out of this too.
Follow his workouts on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get you ready for everyone's favorite part of the show?
Yes.
Eric Murray, Realtor. Buy our house from him. Stick Tap of the Week.
The Stick Tap of the Week is going to the Maritime Hockey League. Yeah. Bringing a franchise to Bucktouche. Finally getting some Junior A back.
Good old
Bucktouche. Finally getting some Junior A back in this part of the province. And obviously it sucks for the people of Bridgewater and the South Shore of Nova Scotia. But weren't working out. And when things don't work, there's got to be some changes, and it's to our benefit, which is it's almost ideal for the Wildcats.
Yeah,
because you go and get some players, develop some players in Amherst, develop some players in Bucktouche. You've got 2 teams that are 45 minutes away, and I think it's a perfect scenario. And like I said, it sucks for Bridgewater, but this is huge for Bucktouche. They've got the rink for it. Very passionate group of hockey fans. We've seen Q players born in that Bucktouche area. Lucas Cormier, is an obvious one. Patrick LeBlanc. They're raised. They're born in that area of the province. They're building the hockey in that area. And you can't be more. It can't be nothing but more. You can't be excited. I guess you can be excited for Junior A and Bucktouche. Hopefully, it's a name that's got a nice ring to it. But no, I'm excited. 2 teams that are 45 minutes away for the Wildcats to really pick from when it comes to affiliates is going to be a lot more convenient. And a beautiful rink.
It is.
Beautiful rink for Junior A.
Yeah, been up there a couple times for the preseason. And Flyers played a game there, so you may hear some friendly voices doing play-by-play in color. Who knows?
What? For you?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
If Mike gets the job, maybe.
That's true.
Right?
Mike can probably do some play-by-play and up on. Yeah, I'm excited for Bucktouche. They're like a big hockey town, and they love their sports, so it's going to be good.
Yep, and I will jump on with an honorary stick tap to our viewing party sponsor, the local sports pub. They jumped on halfway through the year. They reached out to us, asking if we do live shows there, and I said, live shows we don't really do those a whole lot, but hey, why don't we do this? And he's been, Eric's been nothing but gracious with his venue, with his time. having every playoff game except one, and that was because he already had a pre-planned event on Friday night. So we really appreciate him having us from game 1 to game 5 of round 2, and hopefully we can continue this into next year and do some more stuff. And again, all you fan listeners that showed up for the playoffs viewing parties as the official, unofficial viewing party. So thank you to the local sports pub for being our officially unofficial viewing spot for the playoffs.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the RE/MAX Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
That brings us to the Wildcat of the Week, presented by Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa. Take advantage of their loyalty card, as I always say every week. And, of course, this is their birthday month. They've been there for 2 years. So you've got about a week to get your name in the draw. How do you get your name in the draw? Simple. You give them a call at 830-1224, or you drop in for a visit at 1224 Mountain Road. As soon as you get a service, you will enter your name into a draw for a basket with over $600 worth of giveaways there. The Wildcat of the Week is a tie. It goes to 2 players. One is TB25 for his tying goal in Game 5. He got his first one in the queue. I thought it was his first one just in the playoffs, but he got his first one in the queue. And then Jacob Steinman. He got an assist in Game 3, save of the year in Game 5. And like I said, 12 playoff games, and he had under 30 shots 4 times. And that was 26 against Baie-Comeau, 24 against Baie-Comeau, and 27 and 29. And the only reason he had under the 30 in that one is because it was the blowout game.
Yep.
And he was pulled to give him a bit of a rest. So like Jeremy said, he's the MVP. We wouldn't be where we are in the playoffs without him. So your Wildcat of the Week goes to DB25, Trent Ballantyne, and number 1, Jacob Steinman. That's it for us on the podcast side. Now, we know you guys enjoy hearing us talk, so we are going live on our YouTube tonight. We have a live stream of the 2023 QMJHL Draft Lottery. The Wildcats have a 28% chance of winning the lotto and having the first overall pick. The last 2 times they've done this, they've had the 3rd pick, which netted us Jacob Pelche and Zach LaRue in 2019. So hopefully we are a little bit higher than that. We're going to have some guests join us as well. Friend of the show, Patrick McNeil of the Eagles, talking about their lottery win last year. Thomas Lavoie and that group there. And Braden Olafson from Puck Preps. He's going to come on maybe after, talk to this guy about some of the names that you can possibly see in Moncton next year. And maybe you guys can put a top 5 mock together.
Let's do it. I'm down with that.
Down with that?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, join us tonight on YouTube. Just go to our YouTube channel. You can already sign up to be alerted when it's live. So we will see you tonight on YouTube, and for the podcast side, we will see you next week for a season recap.
Bombdoozle.
Yeah, season recap of the show, and then we're going to go to every 2 weeks. So the 17th, the 31st, and then just like that, it's a QMJHL draft. So see you guys tonight.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.